you don't have that much to lose. Like just do it. And yeah, it's a bit time consuming and there's a lot of little paperwork involved and a bunch of phone calls and you have to go have to go to the bank and do this and do that. It's okay. It's all a learning experience. It takes a bit of time, but there's so many tools available for information for you to navigate through all the little hurdles.
Cyrille, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Cyrille, you've been in the software space for a long time, pretty much your whole career.
Yep.
And right now you're the CTO of a
Mhm.
company, but 4 months ago you started your own company on the side. So can you
Yeah.
kind of explain to us how both of these work together and why you decided to start a company a couple of months ago?
Yeah. Um, so I mean, the company that I'm CTO of, I've been working in for almost 8 years now. I think it's 8 years, 8 years. Um, and I was the only developer at the start when we started out. I came from QA actually. I studied in computer science. I came from quality assurance jobs, where I wanted to pivot more into software development. So I moved into more, test automation. Uh, and after that, I kind of felt like I was hitting a plateau in terms of software development opportunities. So I decided, okay, I need to pivot. Um, and I had this opportunity with friends that had already started this company. Um, and they asked me, we don't have someone technical on the team. We need somebody more technical on the team. Right now, we're outsourcing everything from the product. So we need somebody that comes in and helps us kind of direct the technical direction of the product. I told them at the time, I've never done web development, but let's figure it out, right? So this is, bare bones, jump into it. Let's just get this done and see where it takes us. And I saw it as, kind of an opportunity to grow. Um, and just learn as much as I possibly could. So that was at the time, that's 8 years ago. Um, from there, built a lot of product development over the course of this. The company I'm currently working with as CTO is a product-based company. And it's very much focused on the B2B space. So I got very familiar, very intimate with the B2B SaaS challenges. Uh, and there are a lot of challenges. Um, But the challenges are similar across the board. Whenever you're talking about B2B SaaS, whatever product you're in, right? Like the product I work in is in logistics, but whatever the product is, you have similar problems with technology, similar problems with the way you build your product, or running a product team is running a product team, right? Um, Helix came about from conversations that I've been having over the past year with one of our board members, uh, who also has other, stakes in other companies, and uh, he is very familiar with how I run the product team as CTO, and he liked my approach and suggested that I give some hours and some time to help rebuild one of the other products in his portfolio. Um, and so I've been having these conversations somewhat pro bono, with potential of having the opportunity to work on this project on a longer term, but with no set expectation. And then at some point, we got far enough into the prototyping that we decided, okay, let's just do this. Uh, and part of the let's just do this is like, okay, well, now I need to officialize everything. Let's build a company out of this. Let's make it. Let's do it. I'll incorporate, do everything that I need as fast as I need because the product needs to be built yesterday. So let's just do it. So that's kind of how uh, that started out.
Cyrille, so I'm curious, did you have any other entrepreneurship experience before that?
Not really. I mean, like the no, not from a financial standpoint or anything like that. As a technical founder, like technical co-founder, yes, with the with the position that I'm still involved in on a more full-time basis. Um, because it's still 8 years of like dealing with challenges and ups and downs and through the growths and through the lows of the company. But in terms of like the more hands-on managing a little bit of everything, this is more of my first jump into it and just take care of it everything, right? Yeah,
And you know what? It kind of sounds like an opportunity just presented itself.
correct.
It's not like you were actively looking for it. I
No,
mean, just the story itself, like someone kind of recommended or asked for your help, and you
yeah,
were like, you know what? Maybe there's other people that could use my help.
that's it. So that's very much the angle. And I mean, in both cases, really, to be in the position that I am as CTO started out from an opportunity from a conversation. And that was 8 years ago. And obviously 8 years ago, CTO wasn't even relevant. I was the only developer on the team. Yeah, you don't just put title CTO on your head when you're the only dev, right? That really doesn't make any sense from my perspective, at least. So I was a developer, and then I became part of a software kind of team lead, and then more of a manager and so forth. And kind of like as the company grew, had to manage more people, and that forced me to learn all of these different roles as the company evolved, right? And be as adaptable as possible. I also had the opportunity to hire a lot of people, to manage a lot of people, to manage product, and to manage deliveries and expectations from other people, right? So I'm being held accountable uh, in every direction, right? And I think that experience itself lends for me moving more into this, okay, well, now I'm building my own, consulting business. I have to hire people. I've done that 100 times. I have to, define product expectations. I've done that 1,000 times, maybe more. So the flexible, like, there's a lot of things that I look at right now for Helix for my consulting company. And those are non-concerns. Like the meat of it is not a concern because I know that I can do it. And then everything else is paperwork. And a little bit of more networking, getting to know more people, and branding. This is where like I need to where I'm gonna have to do the most work is branding myself, where I've never really had to do
Mhm.
that. So that's the next step.
So how many people do you have? Do you have like more people working with you in Helix right now?
Right now, I only have two people working with me under Helix. So it's two
Okay.
two people working with me under Helix. Actually three, but one of them is on a part-time basis.
I mean, that's still quite impressive. I mean, you've just
Yeah,
been operating for not even 6 months. So
yeah, yeah,
that's,
yeah. 4 months, three people. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I gotta ask you this, all right? And I'm gonna push back a bit on the industry
sure,
as a whole. I've talked to a lot of people who, I mean, you didn't leave your company, you're still working there, but a lot of
right.
people that transitioned from a high paying job to becoming their own consultancy firm.
Yeah,
And one of the aspects of consultancy, or one of the issues that people perceive in consultancy, is that it's it tends to be a bit theoretical and not practical, and people have a lot of bad experiences. And so finding the right consultant is critical for those people because of all everything we hear in the industry. Like someone comes in and gives you like this beautiful speech, but none of it is actually actionable. So how do you feel like what you're doing here is different from this image of the general
of the
consultant who,
consult, the general consultant.
yes.
I mean, I so the way I see it, honestly, is that consultancy should come with deliverables, things, actual deliverables and timelines. Uh, I think ultimately that's what companies are looking for. If they're willing to hire to work with somebody that on the outside of their team for either temporary or long term, it's usually because they're expecting there's something that within their team they don't have the capacity to provide or to build, and maybe it's not the focus of their product, right? So this is often the case, right? Um, I'll take the example of the project that I'm currently working on without going into too much details. The team they've built is very much focused on the backend system that they've developed. The hiring, everybody that they've hired is very much geared towards the core service offering, right? And what they needed to rebuild was their web portal. Now, is it logical for them to decide we need to hire an entire team, even if it's like two, three, maybe four developers to rebuild their web portal when they actually really don't have any in-house experience on how to develop a good web portal, right? So like they have some ideas and they know what their customers want, but they don't have the technical know-how. And building that team is going to go through a lot of trial and error, right? So then to go back to your question, it's really being able to set a good game plan, present a realistic, prototype of what will be built, and then actually deliver on that vision with a timeline that makes sense and that aligns with what they're expecting. I think that's, from a technical standpoint, I think that's what's most important.
I feel like from the example you're giving is that people know exactly where their pain point is. But do
No,
you feel like no,
that they don't. Yeah,
but do you feel like generally like you've just been operating for a few months, but the people
yeah.
you've talked to, the potential clients, the actual clients, do they know what they need? I mean, they're obviously hiring you for a reason, but how much of it is clear and how much of it comes from your personal expertise? And how does that play a role in you actually getting the client, in your opinion?
So again, it's I'm still in the early stages, and so the conversations that I've had so far kind of indicate two things. There's obviously, there's a gap in I can talk technical, other people can talk financial, and so there's always going to be a gap whenever you're discussing anything, right? So I'll give you an example in the web sphere. Um, for somebody that's not technical, whenever you talk front end, back end, doesn't mean anything to them. They'll just kind of like it's a mishmash. Like it's the thing that I go on the web portal and it does this.
Website.
A
Yeah.
website, web app, whatever you want to call it, right? So and so I think one thing that's important is it's kind of drawing the line of like, okay, this is the service I'm offering. If you need something else, I can tell you what you need. I might not be the best person for it, right? I think a lot of it is also just being honest and I've been told this in the past, like when it comes to dealing business, be honest about your capabilities, right? And what you can do. Because as long as you're honest that you're able to do this and you're honest that you're actually going to deliver on these things and then actually delivering on them, it makes the whole exchange a lot easier, right? Um, and I think just early on showcasing what can be done is also important. Like showing that you have the resources to do it is also important, right? So people trust when you have those established resources that this is achievable. Um, so yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to trust.
Yeah, and if I want to work with a company and they tell me, listen, this is not my field of expertise, I will
Mhm.
trust them 10 times more. Like if
Yeah,
if the next time I have something that fits in what their service offerings are, then I
yeah.
will definitely go back to them because
I'll,
they're
I'll
not
give you
just
I'll,
hunting any
I'll give you a
project.
practical yeah I'll give you a practical example. I've worked with Azure a lot, right? A lot. In the context of over the past few years, I've worked with Azure a lot. And if somebody's like, okay, well, we really want to build this on AWS, I'll tell them, well, I'm very familiar with Azure. If you want to build this on AWS, there's a few consultants that I know that could help us build it on AWS. Are you willing to work with me and them? Or do you want to like do you want me to subcontract them? Like have this conversation. Um, because again, like there's so many different ways of approaching technical problems and knowing what the portfolio is and having these honest conversations, right? Like not trying to conceal and make the most out of it. I think that never actually pays back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cyrille, I'm really curious about how you're managing your time right now because
Mhm.
you're not just some guy in this company. You're the CTO.
Yeah.
you're the head of everything technical at that company.
Mhm.
You're directing the future of the product. So I'm wondering, like, are you dividing it like an 80/20? Is it whenever I have time, I work on my consulting? How do you divide your work?
So I find little slots of time to do team check-ins for Helix that don't overlap with my main responsibilities for as CTO. Um, I also have like time blocks outside of my, main operating hours, my main 9 to 5, to review everything else, right? And when I say everything else, it's, the product management, the timelines, the deliverables where we're at. Um, I think also one thing that's really important is who you hire. I think who you hire is going to make a night and day difference on the success of projects like this. Because if the people you hire can kind of manage themselves sufficiently that they're able to know what to do next, and you're able to hold them accountable throughout those daily check-ins, then it becomes a lot easier to ensure that you're making progress on the deliverables. Um, but this comes with experience, right? So like when it comes to hiring the right people, it's not just about hiring people that look good on paper, but it's also about hiring people that work well together. And that's like finding that in one-on-one interviews is tricky, but I feel like I've done it enough times that I'm able to know if two people are going to work well together or not, or three people or four people and so forth. Right? There's an essence to how certain people behave that they will be more compatible with each other than other types of individuals.
So you're kind of saying that if you have one employee right now and you want to
Yeah,
hire a new one,
yeah.
you would have to make the assumption, or like you'd have to anticipate how the relationship between them would
It's
work
extremely
out
important. Yeah,
in a 30-minute interview.
yeah.
How does that even work? I mean, you can tell me experience, but there's got to be something more to it.
Yeah,
Is it
there
a
is something more.
gut
So I
feeling?
don't, yeah, it's a gut feeling. There's a bit of a gut feeling. I mean, that's easy to like to just brush it off to a gut feeling, but I think it's personality types. Um, I find that you also have to find complementary traits. One person might be a bit more communicative than the other, and that might kind of alleviate weight from one person and help the other. As long as it's balanced, right? Same things when it comes to the technical skills, they should be somewhat on par. I don't, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to hire like superstars. I hate the terms, but like you just hire people that have good technical know-how, that are receptive to feedback, that know how to give feedback, right? How to give constructive feedback. Um, so that you want to lower the risk of animosity between coworkers, right? Especially in a small team, because things can turn sour very quickly. Um, and of course, you can't account for every single variable, but basically, you hire people that are positive, agreeable, willing to take good feedback, and usually those personality traits kind of tend to complement each other. Uh, and so that's so far what I've been able to do, and I've been able to assess that better throughout like the past 8 years of good and bad experiences, right? So
Yeah, I mean, finding the balance between a personality that you can nurture
yeah.
and give them the right tools to learn your tech stack
Mhm.
is probably a lot easier than hiring someone who's just already really good and very difficult to work with.
Yeah.
So,
And
but
I've
but
been there. Like I've hired the really great guy, but
yeah.
then they like either they didn't work well with the team, or the team didn't work well with them, or vice versa. That can get messy really quickly.
So, Cyril, besides hiring people, what do
Yeah.
you think is like the most critical aspect, or was the most critical aspect into launching your own business?
Um, I think you just need to have that moment where you don't question every single variable. I'm very analytical in the way I approach things. And sometimes there's a point where you just need to decide, just do it. Like if this is what you don't have that much to lose. Like just do it. And yeah, it's a bit time consuming and there's a lot of little paperwork involved and a bunch of phone calls and you have to go have to go to the bank and do this and do that. It's okay. It's all a learning experience. It takes a bit of time, but there's so many tools available for information for you to navigate through all the little hurdles, the bureaucratic hurdles, right? That it's once it's done, right? Um, and then it's just a matter of I like to always kind of start from a point where I have an opportunity lined up to get the ball rolling. Um, and that's what I did, and I feel like that's what I would encourage somebody to do if they were in a similar position as me. Is you have these conversations. Try to do I'm not going to call it pre-sell because I'm not a salesperson, but it's almost a pre-sell. It's like I want to have potential opportunities lined up, have these conversations, and just ready, fire, shoot. And then once you start, once the finger is on the trigger, you can't back down. Like you have to keep going. That's that's pretty much it.
That's really good advice because a
Yeah.
lot of people just stagnate because they pursue perfection or
Yeah.
they just keep doubting themselves. So,
Yeah.
Cyril, I'm going to end with this. You're a CTO, so you're
Yeah.
obviously accountable to a lot of things. A lot of people
Yeah.
look up to you and, they're waiting for your direction. But at the same time, you're a founder, which is
Mhm.
a notorious job for being very time consuming and takes a lot of your thoughts. So my question to you is, do you have any free time at all? I mean, from handling
Yeah.
your main job and your side job, and
Yeah.
who knows, maybe you'll start something else.
Yeah.
So,
I don't foresee starting anything else anytime soon.
yeah.
So the free time. So then the only thing is you have to pick your free time, right? So choose what matters most to your well-being. I think that's really important. That's one of the things that I've been focusing on a personal. So spend time with family, spend time taking care of your health, um, exercise and those kinds of things. There are also things that like help you disconnect from the work, that help you put the phone away, put the laptop away, be present in those moments, especially because the time that you have is limited when you're so busy. Whether it's one thing, whether you're fully focused on your startup or your consulting gig, or you're doing two things at the same time, like I am right now, it consumes a lot of your time. So try to time box both of those things, but also time box for yourself.
Mm.
So do I have free time? I do have some free time for sure. I do. I think anyone that says that they don't have any free time is almost lying to themselves. I think there's always an opportunity. The work is never going to stop, right? Um, and yeah, I understand there's always timelines, but there's always downtime. Uh, there's a way to manage uh, it in a way that's still effective, that you're nurturing your relationships and you're nurturing um, time for yourself. And because if you don't, you're gonna crash out and burn. That's the reality. If you don't make time for you and the things that are not related to your work, you will eventually crash out because it's high burn. So you need that time.
And so I think it's very important for people to hear this.
Yeah,
It's because it's not just a number of hours that you put in, is how to keep it sustainable. And you can't
correct.
sustain it by working 20 hours and sleeping a few hours every day. Eventually you're gonna crack. I guess it's not
Yeah,
gonna work. And
that's the
and
most
I think
important
that
thing.
that's why when people come back from vacation, you feel like they're high energy, is because they got
Yeah,
a lot of free time. So taking that in small doses every day, I mean, it keeps you going.
yeah,
Cyril, thank you so much for doing this. That was
appreciate it.
I really enjoyed this conversation.
Likewise.